Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Health Minister says Omicron variant may be in Jamaica after tourist vendors in St. James complain about no electricity. And later in sports, two former reggae boys warn Nicholson of potential challenges ahead of move to Russia. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the Omicron variant is now in Jamaica. Dr. Tufton says this can be reasonably concluded based on information that a recent traveler from the United Kingdom who stayed at a resort briefly tested positive for the variant after leaving the island. The minister was speaking at the COVID Conversations news conference this morning.
There are several conclusions that can be drawn from this, to include the fact that persons may have been infected by others within the population, or this particular individual could have interacted sufficiently while here to infect or contaminate others. In other words, I think it is best from a planning, from a precautionary perspective to conclude that Omicron is here within our population.
Health experts say the Omicron variant is a highly transmissible strain. Dr. Tufton says the country's vaccination rate remains low. Therefore, the health ministry will be ramping up efforts to prepare for an anticipated fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The preparation that we are putting in place for hospitalization, up to this point, we have one additional field hospital, Savlamar, to finish hopefully by the end of the year. We will have approximately 1,200 beds to support inpatient care for COVID cases. We do have step-down facilities, so where you don't need hospitalization, you stay in other facilities, including being at home with support. But where hospitalization is needed, we have up to 1,200 beds, and I think it's important to make that clear. We cannot, I'm sure, transition other beds, but it will be at a severe cost to other persons who need critical care, which means ultimately you're going to have to give, and someone will suffer if we were to go beyond that.
In the meantime, there were no new deaths from the coronavirus in Jamaica on Tuesday. The country's overall death toll remains at 2,450. Jamaica recorded 99 new COVID-19 cases from 1,702 test samples, bringing the total case count to 92,226. The positivity rate is 6.8%. Hospitalizations continue to be below 100. 96 people are being treated for the virus in hospitals across the island. 12 of the patients are severely ill, while one is in critical condition. There are 428 active cases on the island. In the meantime, 134 more people recovered from the respiratory illness, pushing the overall recovery count to 64,434. As the Yuletide season draws nearer, some vendors in Montego Bay St. James are growing more frustrated as the lack of electricity is hampering productivity. Codian Barrett reports.
Raking in Christmas sales is looking dim for vendors at the Charles Garden Market in Montego Bay St. James, who say they have been without electricity for months. And while other vendors can sell for longer periods in the evenings, it's becoming increasingly difficult for these vendors at the Gun Court area of the market. In an effort to maximize sales, some have resorted to using the flashlight on their phones.
I don't know how I'm going for Christmas, but I put my trust in Jesus. I put my trust in the Lord. I don't know what's going to go on next, but we need some light, or we can't be starting that early, man. And if I run off the street, we can't go on the street. We can't go on the street, we don't run off the street, so we need some light around here, sir.
They also voiced their grouse with the lack of proper waste management.
Sunday night, they clean the market. And the market full of beer muck like a hag in the market, like a hag there selling in the market. Right? So market bad there. Every week I see same thing right here. Right around the market and not clean the market. And every week they come collect money.
When we come in at night time and we have to force to push out the garbage. Things can't be like this all the time, sir. There must be a change. We have to get changes.
That's also affecting sales, and for others it means inappropriate resting areas.
Can't get nowhere to sleep. I have to sleep on street side. Pan cardboard. Yeah, and that them do something alright. And I pay in the market. I pay, man. I know they are free, you know. I don't die free.
Mayor of Montego Bay, Councillor Leroy Williams, has since responded, saying the gun court area of the market that is without electricity will be fixed as soon as possible. He did not give a specific timeline. Cody Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
As Mandeville, Manchester boasts the newly refurbished family courthouse, the Custos has charged the authorities to address several issues, including regular maintenance of the historic building. Custos Garfield Green was speaking at a recent handing over ceremony where he noted crowd and noise often affect court proceedings. Krista Campbell has that story.
A 200-year-old building refurbished with state-of-the-art facilities. The Mandeville Family Court in Manchester was officially handed over on Friday, but won't be put to use until the first quarter of next year. The building, which was extensively damaged by fire 2 years ago, will now house other courts. Custos of Manchester, Garfield Green, is insisting on adequate access for the disabled.
We all need justice, and when we're here, we want to make sure that people can access the courthouse quite easily, and if they're in need of sanitary convenience, it's available to them.
Crowd control is another concern.
When this was a full courthouse, there used to be huge crowd on the front here, formed by litigants. So I do expect that there'll be some form of crowd control in place, so that when courts are in session, both court staff and judges can feel safe in entering and leaving the building.
And there's the matter of noise affecting court proceedings.
I sat in, back in 2019, in a circuit session, and the level of noise around the surroundings of the court was just unbearable. The bikes, the music being played, it was disturbing. And I do hope that maybe with the help of the police, something can be done to control the level of noise around these court facilities.
And with an audience inclusive of Justice Minister Delroy Chuck, the Custos urged the authorities to implement a maintenance plan to ensure proper upkeep of the historic building. Following the fire 2 years ago, court proceedings were held on rented premises. The Justice Minister says Manchester should have the brand new courthouse it was promised within the next 3 years. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News. Stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Residents of Gale and adjoining communities in St. Mary now have a newly constructed post office. But as you hear in this report from Sandra Williams, there are calls for a post office in another community.
August 2018, an early morning fire destroyed the Gale post office in St. Mary. The police believed the incident was the work of arsonists. This as the facility was torched minutes after lawmen turned off the music at a well-attended dance in Gale. More than 3 years later, the community received a new mail depot, this time in the town area.
And as Jamaicans say, we take one stone, kill two birds. So instead of having to leave the town to access the post office services, they are able to leave from the clinic to come to the post office or from the bank to the post office. And we are grateful because they can save now and it is now more convenient to everyone, also the staff.
After the original post office was destroyed, residents were forced to use postal services in neighboring communities, which they claim was costly. It's why they are happy with the new location.
Well, it's nice because it stopped me from paying extra money to go to Lock Hill. It's in our district now and I feel happy.
The post office was officially opened last week. Member of Parliament for St. Mary Western, Robert Montague, who was in attendance, said a post office in Gale is important.
Somebody unheard of, and that is why we need the post offices, Prof, so that they can get their mail. Some of us accept the light bill and the water bill and the phone, but old timers like me, we like feel the paper in our hands.
Meanwhile, the people are requesting a post office for another community.
I'm pleading and asking the government, please, to see if they can put a post office in Labyrinth, because we had one there, but it had got old. I don't know what was the reason for it being moved, but it's no more there.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Here's Cody and Barrett.
In the financial world, SSL Venture Capital Jamaica Limited has now sold the remaining 30% stake in Blue Dot Data Intelligence Limited to the founder, Lauren Pert. The transaction closed on Monday for $99,000. In October, SSL Venture Capital sold 20% of its shares to a third party, Yes Aya Limited, for $66,000. It has now sold its full 50% stake in Blue Dot Data Intelligence Limited. The Bank of Jamaica and the Financial Services Commission FSC have been brought into the loop on the emerging legal wrangle involving Cornerstone United Holding Jamaica Limited and brokerage Sagicor Investments Jamaica Limited. Sagicor Investments alerted the media to legal action it initiated in Barbados against the board of Cornerstone over its disquiet about the disposal and allotment of shares in the company. The legal action is a fulfillment of repeated threats by Sagicor Investments to go to court unless Cornerstone agrees to buy its own shares being held by Sagicor Investments Jamaica Limited. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report.
In this evening's health report, we look at influenza, more commonly known as the flu.
As we said, because of mask wearing and hand sanitization, these are the same things that we would normally recommend to persons to prevent the transmission of the flu. So we're not expecting that we'll have the same numbers of persons with the flu as we did in former years. But we do know that at Christmas, we have to be careful because it's a time of relaxation, it's a time of getting together with family, and it's a time of celebration. So we do have to take precautions at this time to ensure that we minimize the transmission of the influenza.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Rest and sleep. Keep warm. Drink plenty of water. And follow the instructions given by your healthcare provider.
With the top regional and international stories, here's Sandra Williams.
In the region, the Guyana government yesterday announced a 2-week bonus for all healthcare workers as it praised them for their service to the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. President Irfan Ali said the across-the-board bonus will be tax-free. $612 million will be paid out to 9,200 employees and complements the 7% retroactive payment they received this month. Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, said instructions have been issued for the bonus to be paid this week. On the international scene, as many as 100 people are feared missing after a landslide at a jade mine in Myanmar. Rescue teams are desperately searching for people in a nearby lake, with most victims believed to be illegal miners. One person is confirmed dead. The landslide occurred in the Pakant area of northern Kachin State early this morning. Myanmar is the world's biggest source of jade. The landslide is believed to have been caused by an overflow of rubble discarded from lorries to the open pit mines. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, Simon Preston will have your Midday Sports report.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Two former reggae boys who played in Russia feel Shamar Nicholson will have to be mentally strong to handle the rigors of the Russian Premier League. Nicholson is the 5th reggae boy to sign for a Russian club.
Nicholson joins the likes of Damani Ralph, Robert Scarlett, Errol Stevens and Luton Shelton to sign for teams in the Russian top flight. Ralph played for Rubin Kazan from 2005 to 2007 and has warned Nicholson of the potential challenges ahead.
His experience in Russia will be different, obviously, than in Europe, because Eastern Europe is just totally different. So, he's going to have to deal with some severe cold weather, and obviously the racism in Russia within his team, outside of his team, outside of the confinements of the club. But he's a mentally strong player, obviously,
Errol Stevens suited up for FC Khimki in 2009, and he spoke about what specifically he could face in Russia.
I don't think he will escape the monkey chants and those stuff, to be honest. If I'm being totally honest, that side of it, he'll probably get somewhere during the season, in some small team, in some away game. Because Spartak Moscow is a big club and it's a diverse club. I think they're used to having players of different races.
The Russian Premier League is on a winter break until February 27.
To England we go now, as Reggae Boys forward Mikel Antonio and West Ham United will be looking to advance to the semi-finals of the English League Cup as they travel to face Tottenham Hotspur this afternoon. West Ham's last trophy was in 1980, while Spurs' last piece of silverware came in 2008. Kickoff is at 2:45 Jamaica time. In other quarterfinals at 2:45, Reggae Boys defender Ethan Pinnock and Brentford will play Chelsea, while Liverpool battles Leicester City. Reggae Girls defender Alison Swaby has ended her 3-year spell with Italian side Roma and has joined a newly formed National Women's Soccer League club Angel City FC. The 25-year-old has penned a 2-year deal with the California-based club. Swaby was part of the Roma side that won their first ever Coppa Italia earlier this year. Swaby was also a member of the Jamaican squad that was at the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup in France. Angel City FC is owned by tennis superstar Serena Williams and former American international Mia Hamm. 2022 will be the club's first season in the NWSL. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Ashane, it is over to you.
Thanks, Simon. Just before we go, though, racism continues to be a big issue in the sporting arena. How can we try to control something like that?
It's difficult to eradicate it completely, knowing the type of characters that they are in the sport, but you could perhaps have stiffer punishments, perhaps points deductions for teams that do this at different venues across the country and different clubs. So if this is put in, then perhaps fans will be able to close their mouth a bit more on these sort of matters.
Nicholson moving to Russia?
A good move in my opinion because of the sort of atmosphere and attention that will be on him. He's going to be playing in the UEFA Europa League, so a million more eyes will be on him, and of course this will attract the interest of England or even Germany eventually.
You see him playing for a big club?
Yeah, I see it as a possibility, definitely, for sure.
All right, thanks, Simon. And that's the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.